ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored and very pleased to be here with you to discuss this very important topic of reconciliation injustices. Imagine being a 14-year-old boy. Imagine having been in hell and back over 4 years of this boy's life, working in Germany's ammunition factories, being hungry, starved, emotionally exhausted, physically weakened, deprived of every human emotion, and still hanging on to life and not giving up. Imagine being so brutalized and dehumanized that you begin to believe that you are no longer human. In the concentration camp, there was no place for thought or feelings. We existed for the moment. Death was a constant companion. Life was the exception. I passed numerous selections where a Nazi SS soldier decides life or death, miraculously survived typhoid fever. In spite of all of it, never lost hope of being reunited with family. All of it put aside with only one aim and focus: to survive. Hope, a very powerful motivation. Imagine coming from a home with love and joy and the prospect for a bright future all around you. Imagine being spoiled and loved by 4 older brothers and 1 sister, a mother, a father, filled with love for all their children, especially the baby, me. I shared their aspirations and hopes for the future and wished that I were older and could copy the wonderful, exciting things they were able to do. I could not wait so I could emulate all these marvelous things. Then, and most of our survivors after the Holocaust, we kept our horrors to ourselves for more than 30 years. Then we, the survivors, did an amazing and astonishing thing. We could have remained silent and moved on with our life. We could have responded to being abandoned by the world with anger and resentment. But instead, we focused on renewal and rebirth. And then after rebuilding our lives, we did another amazing and astonishing thing. We determined that our memory should not remain just a source of private pain, but should become a source of public education. We wanted to make sure that no one's future would be like our past. After liberation, we faced so much devastation. How do we cope with so many losses, including our humanity? We became outraged and angry. We were 426 youngsters among 20,000 adults in Buchenwald. We were taken to Écueil, France for our recovery. I found out many years after that psychologists that examined us came to the conclusions that we were sociopaths. We would never recover. I have to tell you, most of us forged ahead in schools and business, raised families, and contributed to our communities. In fact, we count among the Buchenwald children such personalities as my friend Elie Wiesel, Nobel Prize winner, and Lulek, Israel's recent chief rabbi, Yisrael Mayala, and his brother Naftali Lavi, Moshe Dayan's right-hand man, as well Israel's ambassador to the United States. How to have normal feelings and emotions again, how to cry, laugh, and how do we learn to love again, how to trust. All of it had to be relearned. It was not easy to achieve these very necessary, simple tasks. the resiliency of the human spirit came to the rescue. What made recovery of any kind a possibility? It was the power of memory. The good impressions left by my loving family gave me the strength to want to survive, and after liberation provided the template for the values required to live a decent and caring life. It was the anticipation of being reunited with family, that glimpse of heaven, kept hope alive and gave me the strength to overcome enormous obstacles and focus on survival. And this is how I decided to help my friend Dr. Robert Krell to create our Vancouver Holocaust Education Center here in Vancouver way back in the 80s. And I'm very proud of all the wonderful things we are doing to eliminate hatred and discrimination. I have admiration and love for the many individuals who are devoted and passionate in accomplishing this noble task. Some of them are here tonight, this morning rather. Nina Krieger didn't make it, but I see Adara Goldberg is here, educational director. I have nothing but love and admiration for all the wonderful things you're doing. As Canadians, we have so much to be grateful for, so much to be proud of, and so much that we must safeguard. The equality, tolerance, respect for human rights, and democracy that we enjoy and cherish can never be taken for granted. I, who have been to the other side of freedom, can tell you how precious these values are. For several years, I have had the distinct pleasure and satisfaction to be involved in the process of healing through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, with Justice Mary Sinclair and many of the First Nations in Fort Providence, in Inuvik, in Northwest Territories. I've had the pleasure and made wonderful friends like Terry Brown, Mary Wilson, Colleen Peterson, Chief Billy Erasmus, Loretta Fender, and of course our own Chief Robert Joseph, Karen Joseph. Since I only have 7 minutes, I can't mention them all, but you know who they are. Many residential school survivors have not spoken about their pains and sorrow. Many have not been able to resume a decent and productive life because of their horrific experiences in those residential schools. My own tales of horrors have given many of them the courage and motivation to face their own and commence the healing process. This has given me a hope for humanity. It has also given me the courage to continue this noble task. I challenge all the residential school survivors. I urge residential school survivors who are still keeping the pain and sorrow within to emulate us, the boys of Buchenwald, and show their perpetrators resiliency and be triumphant. Do not allow them to see your defeat. Show them that you have become victorious. Look what my friend Chief Robert Joseph did with his life, and look the amazing and wonderful human being he is. I'm so happy to see many others who have also emulated Chief Robert. Looking back, after liberation, we were sure that the soldiers who found us and the world being informed about what happened would ensure that never again would such a travesty be visited upon human beings. How wrong we were. Never again turned into again and again. And while we know that not all victims were Jews, but all Jews were victims, it seems to have gone unnoticed that the unique destruction of Jews did not stop the forces of genocide from killing millions more throughout Europe, where the gypsies, homosexuals, Slavs, the list goes on and on. Cambodia, the former Yugoslavia, Rwanda, now in Syria, people have been and continue to be the victims of genocide. It was left to us to serve a reminder of what happened then can still happen now. The Holocaust presents an awesome challenge to us, to all of us as individuals and as societies, to preserve human dignity and human life around the world. When I share this with all of you, I try to convey the pain of my experience in order to inspire you to prevent such events from occurring again. By being a witness to history, I hope that you will become witnesses and work diligently for a better world. How is it possible that the Holocaust is denied in face of the overwhelming evidence compiled by the perpetrators themselves? How is it possible that anti-Semitism has returned in so many places all over the world? I have talked to thousands of high school students. They are eager to learn and they are eager to act. I see hope in their faces. What must I tell you this morning? I know that you have quite a bit of knowledge. What can I add to your knowledge? Perhaps this. I learned that children can grow old overnight. I learned that warm memories of a successful early childhood can sustain you in later life. I learned that staying silent after deep wounds internalizes the injury and that one heals better through sharing the pain with others. I learned that the only way to counter Holocaust denial is to continue to bear witness. When I speak to young students as well as adults, telling them about the dangers of hate and discrimination, I'm also sharing the residential school horrors, which to my surprise, they know very little. I think that it's very important that this subject must be part of the curriculum. I feel very strongly about sharing my experiences in the hope that the event witness will offer an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals as well as societies and governments. Our stories remain a powerful lesson against racism and hatred, and it also reaffirms our commitment to uphold human rights for all and to value diversity. We, the survivors, were certain that the leaders and the citizens of the world would say, "Never again," and commit themselves to turning these words into reality. Never again. Noble, thought-provoking words, but only if we act upon them. Only then do these words become meaningful. Le door with door, from generation to generation, is a concept in religion. It follows from the Torah, the Bible, that knowledge and faith is passed from generation to generation. We must follow the guidelines and tradition with respect to Holocaust remembrance. The world must learn from the past in order to make this a better place for now and the future. We must teach compassion. We must eradicate racism and religious persecution. We must teach ourselves, teach our children. Each generation must learn. I can feel the love and care amongst all of you today. You will inoculate everyone against hatred and intolerance, racism and indifference. And that represents love of its purest form. And I am grateful to all of you for this noble work. As my friend Elie Wiesel reminds us, remember, for there must be hope in remembering. Thank you for listening to me.